105 North Avenue, 52.
Prepare to be fucked by the long dick of the law.
This isn't happening. Everyone look away, please. Nothing to see here.
You can't break those cuffs.
Make him away, Toy.
Welcome to Thought Cops, the only podcast where every week we police the mean streets of the internet because, hey, somebody's got to do it. And then we let you be the judge, the jury, and the executioner in the court of public opinion. Coming to you live from Neo Chicago, I am Officer Kevin.
And I'm Officer Grant.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. What are you eating over there? Is that a cough drop?
You knew I was having a cough drop as a snack.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why you're eating. Are you sick?
I am not sick. I'm not sick.
Yeah, sure.
So Grant and I have been having this.
Yeah.
Are we beefing? Can we say that?
Yeah.
We're beefing over whether or not one would get sick from wearing shorts out in the winter,
or from wearing pants out in the winter. And I allege that you've been sick more than I've been sick.
Not true.
Yeah, no, it is true because I've only been sick once, like between November and December, end of November, beginning of December. I was
how
sick
long?
Once for like 3 weeks.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was like 3 weeks.
I was sick, a couple times for 2 days?
Times.
For
yeah,
2
couple
days.
times, yeah.
Anyway.
That's more. A couple is more than one.
A little peek behind the curtain. I like to have a cough drop before recording because it clears up my passages for doing the show that we do every single week.
Nice cough drop. Yeah.
And thank you for smelling my breath, freak.
I can smell the fucking menthol from here. Okay? It's wafty. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
It's a strong drop.
I'm just trying to, just whatever.
Let's
do the show, yeah.
Let's just do the show. Let's give a thank you to our guest from last week, Mitch Kamayo-Peely. Hey, thanks, Mitch. Well, he's a real stand-up guy. You get it? Because he's...
Yeah.
Let's give an introduction. Let's change it up here. Let's give an introduction to a brand new guest to the Thought Cops family, to the Thought Cops canon, to the crew. We have Leslie Lee the Third. What's up, Leslie?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here and, put some perps in custody.
Thank you. We always could appreciate any help we can get here on the show, especially from Leslie Lee the Third. Leslie, you do a podcast called Struggle Session.
Yes, I do. We're the world's finest pop culture podcast. We cover everything: movies, books, comic books, video games, all that good stuff, but from a perspective where we actually consider the capitalistic hell world we live in, and thus the awful propaganda we get in all of our favorite pieces of media.
And there's a lot of pieces of media there are full of that kind of crap. And maybe you've heard of the show before because we've had Leslie's co-host on the show, Jack Allison, before. So we wanted to complete the full picture here, get the whole experience. So we appreciate you having
yourself on.
Hey, thanks for having yourself on, man.
No, thank you so much for having me on. I was excited when you messaged me because I'll be honest, I hadn't listened to your show, but I had seen the pictures you guys take and post for each episode, and they always have really, really good vibes. So I was very excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. We try to get it right.
Vibe it up,
shout out to Grant's roommate, waking her up at 11 o'clock, checking the hallway to see if the lights are on in the room. Like, hey, can you come take the picture of us?
You take a picture of me and my weird friends. We're going to be holding guns and dressed like anime characters. Is that cool?
All right, sleep tight.
Yeah.
So, well, that's the vibes that we're putting out there, and we try our best. We're happy to have you here. And I know that I'm always excited to see what you guys have to say because you got a lot to say. And, for example, I saw you on Twitter recently talking about, for one example, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and then people were referencing to listen back to the episode of Struggle Session, and I was like, okay, I got to check that out. And I've gone back and listened to a handful of episodes from things that I was, especially familiar with, or if there's, guests that I was familiar with. And
they're talking about my favorite video game. Got to tune in.
Wait, so you like Breath of the Wild?
I do, yes.
Oh, wait, so what did you think of the debate? Because for people who don't know, we had a debate on Struggle Session about the quality of Breath of the Wild. I was against Breath of the Wild. I said it wasn't just like a mediocre. I said it was actively like a bad video game. And a former co-host was on defending Zelda. And you can tell how that debate went and who won it because I still host the show and the person who is defending it does not.
Very nice.
I mean, it's always good to get a perspective like that, especially for something that is unanimously praised. It's, even if it's something I like, I do like to hear the other perspective of it because, and I don't think it's a perfect game, but, it's always good to get that, like I said, perspective.
I do think it's weird when people get touchy about like, oh, I like this thing. How come you don't like this thing? It's like when we do a bonus episode, it's like, yeah, I don't care if you don't like a certain thing. It's like, it's interesting to sort of talk about it and see, where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of essential to listening to the show. Thankfully, we found a lot of people who have that sort of mindset where they actually understand that the point of critique is not whether you agree or disagree with the person making the critique, is whether you learn something about how the work affects you in some way. Like for my favorite example is Anthony Fantano, who is a big music critic. Everybody knows Anthony, and every time he reviews something, the internet gets filled with rage because he doesn't give the exact right score. But whenever I watch, even when I'm watching him eviscerate, an album I really like, I'm learning stuff. Because he's so knowledgeable and so incisive. Like I appreciate it more, even if he ultimately decides not to like it. I still get a greater appreciation for what I do like about that album or that song or that artist.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
From the opposite perspective, I know that there's certain things that may not be liked by quite as many people that you guys may have a fond appreciation for, which I wanted to bring up. One example of that was Birds of Prey. I know that you saw that recently. I haven't seen it. Grant, have you seen it?
I have not seen it,
But
no.
Leslie, you were saying that you liked it.
Yeah, I actually, I really enjoyed it. I was saying on the episode, trailers are awful. Trailers I thought were garbage. I said they were garbage. I said this movie does not look good. I didn't really want to see it. I only saw it because my one of our correspondents, Emma Bowers, said that she went and saw it and it was actually good. So I went to see it and it was actually pretty good. The way they marketed it as like a Destiny's Child video where it's just about, or like Spice World or something like that. Like it's not like that at all. It's like a crime caper. Like they don't team up until like the second to last scene. They don't really like each other. They're all these different women are like fighting each other and they're full fleshed out flawed characters. They're not just high-fiving each other like in the commercials. Like Harley Quinn is like a dirtbag piece of shit supervillain and not like an anti-hero. Like she's like a worse person than like a Deadpool or something. I guess she's supposed to be like the female Deadpool kind of, but she's like actively like a villain. There's no like redemption arc for her, and it was just like a really good crime movie. It actually kind of reminds me of exploitation film. There was a movement in Japan around the 60s and 70s called Pinky Violence, which is basically Japan exploitation, and a lot of the films would feature would be about girl gangs, like these female delinquent gangs, and that's what Birds of Prey really felt like to me. Now it doesn't have nearly as much. It didn't have any nudity, so those old Japanese films are usually pretty heavy on the nudity and the violence, but Birds of Prey did have a ton of violence. And a lot of people didn't even know. I didn't know that was rated R until like sat down in the theater. So big missed opportunity on the marketing for that one.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. I know like rated R superhero movies are more common than they were.
They're in vogue.
They're in vogue. Yeah. But yeah, no, to hear that perspective of something that I had very little desire to see, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little curious. May have to check that out. And there've been a number of topics that you and Jack have discussed on the show that, some of the stuff I didn't even know as much about. So I was like, okay, hear a little bit about this and, get their specific takeaway, and maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I won't. See how I feel.
Yeah, our pitch line is that, for just $5 a month, we can save you from seeing some really bad movies. Like, you can't beat that deal.
No, that's a good deal, because I just bought a ticket to Sonic and it's like $15 to go see Sonic. So it's like, yeah, no, I would like to know if Sonic is worth seeing or not. So, fuck.
Were there any standout episodes you can think of in recent memory where you were surprised by how you felt about something if you hadn't seen it before recording?
Or you changed your mind or something?
If I think the big thing I changed my mind on was the Star Wars prequels, because we did a project where we did commentaries, live watches of all the prequel movies. And, from, since when they came out, originally, I often told the story how The Phantom Menace is like the worst theater going experience I ever had. We did it on our senior skip day. So like the entire senior class skipped school to go see this movie. And I just hated it so much, even though I love Star Wars more than like anything as a kid, and I just hated this movie. But when we went back and watched it, I found that, it, without all those expectations I had, and also, already seeing like the bootleg Disney version of Star Wars without George Lucas, I came to have a new appreciation for the prequels, and ended up really enjoying it. And a lot of listeners, kind of took that journey with me, where I wasn't a prequels guy, but now I'm full on prequels guy. Thanks to my co-host Jack, and also our friend / cult leader Bugmain, who joined us on a couple of the episodes.
Bugman is hilarious.
Yes.
I think he follows me on Twitter. I still don't.
Yeah,
Bugman.
He's a character. Yeah.
Bugman is a ghost that haunts podcasts. That's the best way I've heard him described. He's also a comedian and a cult leader and a businessman too.
That's accurate from everything I know about him. And yeah, I know that Jack is a huge proponent of the Star Wars prequel, so I figured he must have done something to persuade you on that one.
It really wasn't Jack. It was, just watching it again, after, what is it, 20 years? Yeah, shit, it's 20 years now.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, watching it after 20 years, just seeing it, and you can hear me change my mind in real time on those movies. So there you go.
That is interesting. I will have to check those out.
Yeah. And I know, I think one of my favorite things you guys have said, and this sort of relates to us in a sort of way, because I think last time you guys were in Chicago, I think it was the last time, the episode you put out after you were in Chicago, you guys sold out the Hideout, correct?
Yes, we did sell out the Hideout.
Yeah, and you made a comment about how, like, we sold out the Hideout just like the Smashing Pumpkins did.
Yes.
And you made a relationship that I found to be very intriguing, that it's changed my whole perspective, which is, you said, like, podcasts are now, like, what bands were, like, back during that time. And that, like... As a former musician, that just sort of lost the, lost the spark, for my passion for that, and refound it in podcasting and comedy. That it touched a nerve that I was like, yeah, no, this feels like what I should be doing. Like,
you're on the cutting edge.
Scratches the same itch.
You know what? I want to give co-credit to that take to Heather Fortune, who is a musician. She was the creative force behind the band Wax Idols. I think she was also in play bass for White Lung for a bit. She helped do that take with me, because she's also like, notice I said former, because she was, a really great musician, but the way the industry is set up, she ended up just recently stopping. So everybody support her in what she's doing now, which is posting, doing poetry, and supporting Bernie Sanders. So shout out to Heather Fortune.
Cool.
Yeah. I feel like when I was playing music and stuff, there was also not as much of a sense of camaraderie. Like, I just remember showing up to venues, hanging out with my band and the people that came to see us and not really talking to the other people. But the thing I really like about podcasting is, like, you collaborate with everybody. It's just like a bunch of podcasters on each other's podcasts. And it really does seem like just a more sort of fruitful, connective way to sort of relate to the world, as opposed to, you know, being in your own shell and just expecting people to join your shell, as opposed to, you know, the opposite.
Yeah, it's really nice because, you know, you don't get it in podcasting because we're all doing the word we don't use enough is independent. Because we're independent podcasters, we're not like Luminary and all these other VC funded things where you you know, we're doing this on our own and we only can look out, you know, after each other. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Somebody, I'm going on your show, and my wife will ask me because I have to explain this to her sometimes. I'll be like, all right, honey, I can't, you know, hang out tonight. I have to go on this podcast. I'm like, why are you going on that podcast? Your podcast is bigger than that one. Well, yeah, but, you know, the reason my podcast was able to get to the place it was because people on bigger podcasts let me on there. So I got to pay it forward. I got to, you know, keep this thing moving until we all have, you know, our own, you know, sustainable things going on and everybody, you know, can just, you know, can, you know, live and eat and be fulfilled doing this stuff. So you got to just spread the love around.
Yeah, totally, man. We appreciate it. And I know, like, yeah, we're all, you know, independent creators trying to find our way and make it happen. So, yeah, you know, like you said, even pay it forward.
Yeah, even from the point of view of, like, us having sort of like a smaller sort of space within, you know, the limelight. Like, I still look at some people that we're friends with that do, like, great creative work. And it's just like, God, if anything I can do, like, within this, like, realm of influence I can do to get, like, Aaron Klopp for more views on YouTube, or get Be Nice to Me Productions like more subscribers. It's like, you know, because I love, like, the stuff that they put out so much, and it's like, you know, even just from our modest, you know, place, it's like, yeah, no, I genuinely like being able to do that for other people and, like, boost their careers, and, you know, rising.
Well, let's not get too far and call it a career now. Let's not go.
A hobby. Yeah, let's call it a hobby.
A hobby that I make very little money off of.
Speaking of hobbies you make a little bit of money off of, you can support us at patreon.com/thoughtcops if you like. We got another episode of Fire Bros we're going to be recording, so
I just got to watch the Sonic movie, and I'll just watch The Mandalorian all in one day, and then I think we'll be set. So by the end of the month, I think.
Yeah, we'll have that out soon.
Yeah.
Get ready for the hottest take on Sonic on the net. It's coming soon. Patreon.com/thoughtcops.
Yeah.
Grant, I know I brought it up the last few episodes, but you've been having our friend Bernie Sanders come over to stream on Twitch a little bit more.
Yeah, it's been good. He's been talking about Katamari and how he has to collect all of the things in the world and then eventually redistribute them.
Yeah. Leslie, I don't know if you know this, but Bernie Sanders does stream on our Twitch channel. He plays Nintendo Switch games from a small monitor here on the desk, and
the impression is not very good, but it's passable.
And it goes on but it's more about the quantity of it.
I'll stream for hours pretending to be Bernie.
I did not know that. That's so funny.
Yeah. It's fun to watch, because people will tune in and ask questions related to Bernie, related to the game, and you keep it fun, you keep it light, you keep that ball rolling, so to speak.
Oh,
that's literally so and figuratively.
I'll have to send that to Bree Sanders. She's his press secretary and runs his podcast. I think she'll get a check out of that.
Brianna Joy Gray.
Yes.
Yeah, she's going to want to know about that.
Yeah.
But let's move right along to 2 Minutes of Hate. Oh, that very famous, that very favorite segment of the show, where we like to blanket punish all these things we see on the internet every single day. Because, Grant, we're addicted, aren't we?
I'm addicted.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr. What's another one?
I'm losing teeth. I got scabs on the inside of my eyelids. That's how addicted I am.
He's scratching himself, folks. You got to see it. I'm worried about him. So yeah, 2 minutes of hate. We like to shine a little light on this crap we see all the time. Speaking of that, I have been seeing this all the time on Twitter lately, and I've only kind of recently seen it spoofed well. It will be like this Instagram model will take a picture where it's an empty room and it is a big pizza or a big hamburger on the table, and then she's sitting there with no pants on, just underwear, and she goes, "What are you eating first?" And she's got her ass to the camera on this big pizza.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there scratching my head, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. That pizza looks good, but I am a millennial. I gotta eat ass." So, yeah, this whole thing is, I guess that's what you have to do to get a career in Instagram modeling is model alongside an extra large pizza from Domino's Pizza and ask, "Hey, what are you going to eat first?" Leslie, have you seen much of these on Twitter?
No. I haven't seen any of that on Twitter yet.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about, Grant?
Yeah. Hey, Mom, can you take a picture of me real quick? Yeah. No, I've seen at least one that you're talking about. I haven't seen this in terms of it being a trend.
I see it probably once a week or something.
It's all the porn accounts that you're following.
Yeah, I gotta knock that shit off. No, I did.
Well, no, because people retweet it like with funny answers of like,
exactly,
"Girl, get your ass out of my pizza,"
or something like that, or like a similar one is like, "Tell me something I don't know."
Yeah,
and
I've seen the "tell me something I don't know." Yeah,
and then like it's just like somebody retweets it with like facts about Stephen Paddock or something. So, what are you eating first? I don't know.
Yeah, what's your pun? Or no, go ahead.
I saw one. It was somebody drew Bubble Bass from SpongeBob and a big Krabby Patty on the couch, and it was like, "What are you eating first?"
What are you eating first? Yeah.
The punishment though is, well, I don't want to say I can have my cake and eat it too. The punishment would be
you have to sit on a cake and fart loudly.
Yeah, cake farts. That's, you know what? That's how you used to have to get ahead in this business.
Yeah.
Cake farts.
Yeah. Well, at least one person got ahead.
One person did, yeah.
Anybody else did.
One person who lived in my college town.
Really?
Yeah, DeKalb.
That's where that's from, huh?
Friend of the show, Blake, used to deliver food to her, which I guess she must have farted on afterwards. I don't know. Or she ate it. I don't know.
I wish I didn't know that, but I'm glad that I do now.
Yeah. Yeah, ask him.
Huh.
So, yeah, that's my punishment for that one. Leslie, do you have anything bugging you? Anything you've been seeing a little bit more frequently than you like to be?
All right. There's kind of a lot. The post that probably infuriates me the most, this is a political one that I see like every other fucking day, is people complaining about getting dragged online in such a way that guarantees that they will further get dragged online and thus somehow proving their point, right? Like, the number one of this is, of course, the Bernie Bro thing. There was some, councilwoman in New York, this is just the latest one. I've seen 100 of these, basically saying, people say, Bernie Sanders is trying to say that, his supporters aren't a problem online. Well, just look at the responses to this tweet in an hour, and that will prove what is like. And of course, people is mostly just people like disagreeing with them, saying they're wrong. But if one person posts some wild tweet, then yes, this is proof that every single Bernie supporter is a raging misogynist bro. And the thing that really annoys me about that is that if it's actually that much of a problem, this sort of harassment, why every day does a new dipshit check mark invite it directly to come to them, right? Like they're literally asking for the type of harassment that they say is so terrible, like literally asking for it, not figuratively, not just making the post criticizing Bernie Sanders and then they get flack for it. It's literally like they make the post talking about the harassment, saying they're going to be harassed, and then they get a negative response, and then they call that harassment. And it's just, if it was that much of a problem, if it was that much of an issue that the fucking presidential candidates need to talk about it at the debate, then none of these people should be like asking to be like harassed in air quotes, harassed in air quotes.
I'm so angry. I have like nothing to add to that. It like infuriates me so much. I actually had a very similar 2 minutes of hate this week, but it just, all of politics is making me just like want to claw my eyeballs out lately. It's getting annoying over the things that really don't matter that much, and then the things that do matter are somehow flying completely under the radar.
And you two, how old are you both? You're kind of young guys, right?
28.
29.
All right, so not quite your first rodeo, your second rodeo. So this is like my third or fourth rodeo as far as paying attention to like electoral politics. And the thing about presidential elections that everyone has kind of forgotten because of Bernie Sanders is that you're actually not supposed to give a shit about the primary traditionally. You're not supposed to care about any of these people or what they say on this day or that day, because all a Democratic primary is just the candidates lying and backtracking against what they've said, their statements and their record the entire time. It's just, that's what a primary is. It's just all the candidates lying about their records, lying about what they're going to do in the future, and then backtracking on the lie that they already told about what they're going to do. Bernie Sanders doesn't do that, and Bernie Sanders has brought a lot of people into the process that maybe wouldn't have paid attention to like the 2004, president election, or weren't even like, or were like children when that happened. And so you get this expectation, like, all right, there's this guy who's telling the truth, saying what he means. He's not backtracking. He's just like out there and being a real ass political candidate. But that's not what the Democratic primary actually is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the messy shit where like they just lie about themselves and each other, and no one really pays that much attention and just waits to see who the winner is. But since we actually have a candidate we kind of care about, we're paying attention every single day, and you're actually not supposed to do that because it will drive you insane because it doesn't make any sense.
It's a bit of a life hack.
Yeah, it's a life hack. Yeah, it's a life hack that most people have chosen because most people don't pay attention because of this shit and don't bother to vote.
Yeah, I can't. Again, you're right. I started paying attention to politics, I think, more sort of like in 2011. And that was Barack Obama's second term when he was running. And I don't remember, it being so contentious, or there'd be one or two sort of people and it'd be sort of a toss up between two of the main front runners. But I even know going back and, I guess a little longer back ago, I think in, 70s or earlier, I don't think that there were even primaries. I think that the parties just sort of like chose a person. They're like, you're the guy.
Well, that's the thing that's kind of happened in our lifetime, where the Democratic Party, we forgot that it was supposed to be like a private party. It's just like a club, and they can say who's in it or not. We spend so much time in public resources like running their little events for them, their popularity contests for them takes such a big precedent. But actually when they were talking about the rules changes in 2016, it wasn't the rules changes, it was a lawsuit that was filed against the Democratic National Committee, and they said in court, it's like, you can't sue us for being unfair. We can be as unfair as we want. We're like a private club. We're like the fucking Goonies, basically, and you let us run half the country. That's not our fault. We didn't tell you that we were ever going to be fair. We can cheat, we can lie, we can fuck over people. We don't have to do this fairly, even if we already have like that guarantee spot in the government across the country.
Yeah. And like just hearing you explain it in that way, it's like the foundation of like how everything is set up and built is so infuriatingly like it could topple at any moment. And the idea that people are on Twitter complaining about like snake emojis and like fucking memes of rats, like the fact that anybody gives any credence to those things, like it blows my mind right now.
Yeah, so it's like I love pro wrestling, right? And I often talk about, politics in pro wrestling terms, which is, cliched and hack now, but it used to be a hot take, an innovative thing to say, but everybody says it now. But it really is like it's like most of the politics we watch is just like WWE Raw. But then, like, Bernie Sanders is like a UFC fighter that shows up and they never explain to him that the matches are supposed to be fixed. So he keeps, like, beating the shit out of wrestlers and breaking their arms. And no one no one is able to convince him that it's just supposed to be a show.
That is shockingly accurate to what's going on. So Leslie, did you have a punishment for these folks the people who get dragged, who are these self-fulfilling prophecies, basically?
So the people who want that sort of harassment and attention, I hope that, the punishment for them should actually be like giving them the opposite of what they want, which is, like take all their followers away. Just take every single follower that they have away so that they can complain into the void and nobody, or like shadow ban them or something. Yeah. Just if it's so bad, then log the fuck off. If it's so bad, then log off. Now, this is not to deny that the real harassment exists, but when you're actively seeking it, I would suggest that you're probably, whatever real harassment you get, you're probably okay with dealing with, and you can probably stop complaining about it.
Yeah.
What does Ice-T say about Twitter?
Something, log the fuck off.
Yeah, go on. I get on, talk a little shit, log off.
Yeah. Or, of course, the classic one is Tyler, the Creator.
Yes.
Which is, cyberbullying isn't real. Nigga, close your eyes. It's fine. It goes away. What are you talking about? No, I don't think that's quite fair to say, to young people, but anyone over the age of 35, I think that's fair to say, too. And like most of these people are like over like 50 that are complaining.
Yeah.
Puzzling. Awfully puzzling. Grant, what did you have for us? You said you had something somewhat similar?
Yeah, I think Leslie actually covered to like a lot of my frustration that I have. Especially this week has been crazy. Just the whole like Bloomberg joining the debates and like just all the discourse around like, Elizabeth Warren turning heel and fucking Mayor Pete being a rat. And so like it's all culminating into this week. And I think just I tweeted something out yesterday that was like, I understand why my dad screams at the TV all the time now, because that's exactly how I felt. But in the sake of not having to sort of retread some of that water, I think one thing that's bothered me that continues to bother me and will probably bother me well into the future is the term mimetic warfare.
Oh, God.
Mimetic warfare. Warfare through memes.
I mean, that really started with the 2016 race.
So all the people that like joined r/the Donald and were like, hey, it was us that won the election. Like, by posting Donald Trump memes, we single-handedly, like, flipped some of those states. And it's like, please let this just be an isolated thing. But now you have, like, Bloomberg, who's paying people to create memes in support of him. And, like, some of his tweets, he had one fucking thing. Let me pull this up right now. But yeah, he's paying Fuck Jerry, the people that did the Fire Festival.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's paying them to create memes for him. Oh, and it's just the cringiest hello, fellow kids, how do you do? Yeah. Like fucking
awful. And about mimetic warfare. Like, it's,
I don't know how to say
yeah,
it.
it's, it's actually something like NATO. There's like a white paper by like one of like the NATO organizations that they have about mimetic warfare. So it unfortunately like is a thing that, some, consultant dipshits who like probably know nothing about memes or the internet, like are making millions of dollars on. Like world governments
absolutely.
are paying millions and millions of dollars to have some dipshit come in and explain like scumbag Steve to them or whatever the fuck. Like it's just another way to like fleece people out of money, because it sounds cool. Mimetic warfare. It sounds like smart and interesting.
It sounds way more important than it actually is.
And then you realize that wars now are fought with cartoon frogs, and you're like, well,
the frog people versus the rose emojis.
And it's not to say this stuff isn't important, doesn't have effect on the real world, but there's like bigger levers that you can push and pull on to affect things than memes, I think.
I mean, I think your analogy to pro wrestling is very valid in the sense that it's like, it does feel like back in sort of Shakespearean times where it's like there's the people on a stage doing a play, and then people are throwing tomatoes, and that's what I feel like memes are, is just throwing tomatoes at people. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, did we change anything? Like, maybe, but probably not,
Still fun to throw them.
Yeah, still fun to throw them.
Yeah, the script is already written for the most part.
Yeah. The script's already written. The play has been funded. You can do this all you want, but it's still going to be in town for another, 2 years or something. But Donald Trump tweeted something out. I don't know. Is corrupt Bloomberg News going to say what a pathetic debater Mini Mike is? Blah, 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 blah. Mike Bloomberg retweets it and says, impeached president says what?
Okay, that is epic.
I can't. The idea that there's like a think tank behind this, or that there's like a committee of people that are like, you know what? I got the perfect tweet, and people are going to love this. People are going to relate to it. Mike Bloomberg's going to go up in the polls 5% once we tweet this out. You ready? Impeached president says what?
See, and
got him.
And linking that to earlier stuff, like guaranteed the 7 to 12 people being paid, the equivalent of the mid to high six figures a year who helped craft that tweet, assuming they didn't just pawn it off on, some interns, but I don't think Bloomberg is doing that. He's paying people a lot of money to come over there. Like, I guarantee if you go to any of those people's personal accounts, like, they're complaining about how the Bernie Bros are owning them too much on their personal Twitter. So you have a bunch of like people who in their own personal posting life are complete and utter cowards, like trying to use the accounts of Bloomberg. And Hillary Clinton had this, same thing. Liz Warren has the same thing. Like, they try to dunk on Trump, who is, again, of course, a master poster, whatever else you say about him. He's a master poster, but like those weak seeds cannot beat them. You would need a Bernie Bro running your Twitter account if you want to own Trump for real.
You love to see it, folks. You love to see it. Yeah, no, I agree with all that stuff. It's just, it's very frustrating. It's always frustrating to me to see something like boiled down to its just face value level simplicity and just be like, well, this is this. And it's like, well, you can have an understanding that this is more than this, and that there's nuance to what this is and what that is. But that people are just like, oh, you post mean things online. And it's like, well, I don't care. I'm past the point of caring anymore.
And that's what it's for. The internet is for being mean. Have we all forgotten?
And for porn.
Yes.
Those two things.
So what's your punishment? You want to spin that wheel? We haven't used it in a while.
No, let me think of something.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't want to see people drafted into real warfare as a punishment. I think it's fitting, but no hashtag no more wars.
Taco, what are you doing?
I don't know. You should have to, if you're complaining about this stuff, you should have to, or even better, if you're one of these people that does, if you're one of these think tank people that gets hired, gets paid, 6 figures to create memes for Michael Bloomberg, you should have to you should have to dress the part. You should wear a Pepe the Frog costume to work and see how people react to you.
Okay. I thought you were going to say wear a suit because some of these folks, let's just say they don't, I don't know. I got nothing to say about it.
Was that like a lizard person
I
joke?
have no idea where I'm going with this, man.
It's all good. Long week.
Yeah. So moving right along to our main segment of the show, let's talk about that. Let's do this. If you haven't listened to Thought Cops before, every week we investigate the internet's outrage-inducing news stories, and then we sentence each perpetrator to a cruel and often kind of unusual punishment. So let's talk about this. Leslie, since you actually might be more familiar with this than I am, Birds of Prey versus Sonic the Hedgehog. What's going on here?
All right, so as I mentioned earlier, they really botched the marketing for Birds of Prey, so it didn't make nearly as much money as the studio was expecting or what it kind of needed to make in order to be considered a success in the industry. And a lot of the chuds were kind of latching on to this and saying like, oh, this is because they, made it too feminist or whatever, which is, for the average, I don't know, for the chud version of what they think feminism is, I guess that holds some truth, because I do think they kind of painted this superficial like girl power image onto a film that doesn't really have that. The chuds don't care what the film is actually like and actually understand that is just a cool action movie, like almost like a John Wick type deal going on. They don't care about that. And of course they have this motivated reasoning. They want to blame it on feminism itself as opposed to bad marketing. And so the Sonic movie came out after having a lot of controversy in the lead up, and it made just a ton of money. So I don't know, by some some act of transubstantiation, the Sonic movie is now like the chud. It proves that the chuds were right about like feminism via Birds of Prey not doing that well. It's some twisted logic like that. You saw kind of a similar thing happen when the right wingers kind of glommed onto Battle Angel Alita, while at the same time,
I remember that,
being mad at, what was the movie, the other, Captain Marvel. They were mad at Captain Marvel.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're championing Battle Angel Alita. And look, Captain Marvel fucking sucked, but it did make a lot of money. And Alita was a better film, but it made, less money. So I don't know what their point is, really. It's just, they're just
it's
mad.
a weird way of fighting the culture war. Is like, let's just take these two current things and pit them again. Like, why is Sonic of all things like this icon for right wing? I have no idea.
Well, actually, it's not weird, because it kind of happens all the time. It's usually we only get the one side where we'll decide that liking this film represents something in the culture and therefore something about you and your personal ethics and morality. Like if you liked, if you supported Lady Ghostbusters, directed by the whitest, most annoying white man ever, Paul Feig. Hate his fucking guts. Just look at a picture of him. That somehow made you a good person. But certainly in the lead up to Joker, the idea was that if you like Joker, then you're like some incel, school shooter. Yeah. And when the movie is actually about like austerity and like how rich people fuck us all over and how hard it is to live with mental illness, like just completely had no connection to it. So it's actually not weird, to just randomly pick a movie or some cultural object and say this is your thing, because people do it all the fucking time, regardless of what the actual content of the thing is.
Yeah, and I think, sort of going back to the idea of just like pure reductionism, it's just that. It's like people see something on face value and like, yeah, I never saw the Ghostbuster. Kevin, you said you saw the Ghostbuster movie, right?
Yeah.
I've heard that it's very bad.
I actually forgot that I saw it until you mentioned it. I'm like, oh yeah, I did.
I did see that, yeah. But like on face value, people are like, oh, well, of course, like, you put a bunch of women in a film, it's going to be bad, right? You took the Ghostbusters who were men, you make them female, and it's like, that's not what made the movie bad. Like when I watched the Red Letter Media did a really good review on the film, and basically they just explained that the movie didn't have a script. They had these women who are like talented improv artists, like do these jokes. It's like you watch Ghostbusters. It's like the original one was very dry, very slow. The jokes were meticulous. They would just put what's her name, Melissa McCarthy, in front of a camera and be like, well, wrestle with a ghost, and she tried her best.
And that's also just sort of modern comedy movies in a way. It's like just they're just riffing, you know, like fuck a script, they're riffing.
And it's like, but to boil it down to just like, oh well, they're women, it's just like, well, I get that, like, the aftermath is always people saying for or against, like, well, this did play a role or it didn't play a role, and I think that that's valid in a certain sort of way, but really the content of it is like you were saying with Birds of Prey, Leslie, it's like, well, if the movie's good, like, what exactly is the hubbub? Because you don't even fully understand what the context of the content itself is in the first place, you know?
Like, my confusion specifically comes from, like, Lady Ghostbusters, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like a female Ghostbusters. There's, people have their opinions on that. Birds of Prey, somewhat of a similar issue with people.
Yeah. You're
but
confused about Sonic.
Like, what are, is it like...
I'm assuming because
he's friends with the cop.
I'm assuming because Sonic is a video game character, and it sort of goes with the idea that video games are inherently masculine. I'm assuming.
Yeah. What?
Or was he just, or was it like a right place, right time kind of thing where they're like, well, at least that other movie's beating up
It's
Birds
probably
of
both.
Prey.
It's probably both. It's probably more the opportunity, though, I think, just because it came out the week after and it looked like so much worse and like it was going to be a bigger flop, but actually was really successful. And, the reason for this, Grace Randolph, who's a YouTuber who one of the a few like nerd film YouTubers that I really like, she just broke it down. It's like, look, Birds of Prey, for whatever reason, came out the week before Valentine's Day, which was a 3-day weekend, instead of the week of, because originally the latest 007 movies was supposed to come out this week, but Sonic was able to get that spot, and for some reason Warner Brothers didn't move or whatever. If they would have taken Valentine's Day weekend, 3-day weekend, the film might have done very differently, might have done a lot better. Certainly if they marketed differently, it would have done better. So like, it's just they did a better job picking the date to put out the Sonic movie. That's the real difference. Also, the Sonic movie is a fucking kids movie. Birds of Prey is rated R. I just don't.
But again,
we saw it.
Everything we're talking about is like already more detailed than like the thought that anybody else has put into it thus far. I mean, there's a lot of people that are hating on Birds of Prey that haven't seen it, won't see it, and have already formed their mind that, like you said, it's this big like feminist propaganda movie. And it's like, but you don't know that, and like you're staunch in your belief that it definitely is not that, and there's nothing you can do to change your mind that it is that. So it's like, well, what's the point in even talking about anything or displaying an opinion in any regard anymore, because everyone's already made up their mind.
Yeah, it's so annoying too, because the people who made the movie deserve so much better. They really tried. They could have, made this, a Black Panther or a Captain Marvel, 2 films I think are really, really not very good, even if some of the people behind them are good creators. Ryan Coogler, I think, is a really good director, but they really just like Black Panther just felt to me like, here's a bunch of black stuff, we'll figure out the rest in post and CGI, and it ends up being, just this kind of mess of a movie that's just boring and not really that interesting. Captain Marvel, just same as the previous 20 Marvel movies, except they finally let a woman be the star in it, while Birds of Prey actually tries to be like an actual movie. If you took away like all the IP, the Harley Quinn, the Black Mask, all these, the Huntress, if you took that away and just had it be just like a crime movie, it would still be like an interesting thing. And it did not do any kind of cheap appeals to, identity or it didn't make all the women perfect and all the men terrible and worthless. No, it was full of complex characters with multifaceted characters. They thought about it. Now, I wouldn't call it a great movie, but it was a great time watching it, and I will watch it again. And it's really all these like chuds are robbing themselves of like a good experience. Like this, like they're not mad at Kill Bill. Like this film is, it's not nearly as good as Kill Bill, but it's kind of in that same vein, and they're really missing out for no reason other than like, I don't know, Birds of Prey has one more woman in it than the first Kill Bill does.
Yeah. This is another weird aspect of this culture war is I don't know if these are bots or if this is some sort of calculated attack, but if you look in the podcast chat, there is a collection of tweets. It's like a collage of tweets where it's all these people who are, I'm just going to read one. It says, I took my husband and 2 sons to go see Sonic movie and was appalled to hear homophobic slurs used throughout the movie. Luckily, Birds of Prey was showing in the next room and my family had a much better experience. And there's like, a dozen of these where it's all these people are coming together to say that Sonic was being homophobic in the movie, which I did see the movie, and spoiler alert, I don't know that happened.
Yeah, I had.
So it's this weird. This is like another weird aspect of this whole thing. There may be more to this than I understand. I don't know if this is like a troll or something, but let me see. I was a victim of a horrible hate crime while in the theater seeing Sonic movie.
What the hell?
Oh,
yeah.
I'm looking at this. Oh, it's like some sort of like fucking botnet posting like
that's
the
what
same.
It seems like yeah,
it's people posting the exact same post. It's like 3 or 4 accounts post the exact same post about how Sonic is homophobic, but Birds of Prey is better. Just like that's like a counter op in the mimetic wars that they're running.
God. And then from the opposite perspective, there's other ones. This is hashtag Sonic movie is absolutely horrifying SJW propaganda that's made for liberal snowflakes by corrupt Hollywood. Take your kids to see Birds of Prey instead. They're just
it's like the wires got crossed.
There's so many layers because you don't know who's fucking doing irony, who's like a bot, who's like a counter bot, like a double agent. They're talking shit about Sonic, but they're trying to defend Sonic or Birds of Prey or vice versa. It's too much for a movie. It's like, just go see. If you like the movie, just go see it. You don't like it. There was actually a trending topic on Birds of Prey, which really annoyed me this week, which was, I think it was support Birds of Prey, I think is the exact wording for it. And I really fucking hated that because like, it's not a charity. It's a movie. Yeah. It's a movie I like. It's a movie I want to tell people. I have told people, to go see, but I don't want to use that term. Like, we need to support it like as a real like political or moral call. It's like, no, go watch that good fucking movie in theater. It's fun. Have a good time. That sort of thing like doesn't work on like normal people. I think no one is going to go see a movie because they think they're morally or ethically obligated to that wasn't already going to see it. No, just tell them it's a good movie. You don't have to pretend like you're doing like a cancer walk or something like that. It's just a movie.
Yeah, there's this weird sort of like, I don't know, like the understanding of the cultural impact of like whether or not you see this movie or God forbid you like it and it like disproved everything you thought about it. It's very, very obscure when it comes to like most things nowadays. And I know we've had a while ago, maybe like a year or so ago, someone left a voicemail on the show about like, the idea of people's like diets and stuff like that. Like, what if I want to be vegan, but I'm right wing? Or what if I want to try the all meat diet, but I'm left wing? And like the idea of like, what if I want to wear New Balance shoes, but and it's just like, guys, like do whatever you want, consume whatever products you want, but like at the end of the day, like shit, just do what makes you happy. Wear whatever fucking shirt you want to wear, like eat whatever kind of food you want to eat. But the idea that there's always some broader cultural like, you know, landmark that, or some broader cultural implication that, you know, sort of like is bound to you as a result of you liking or disliking this like one artifact is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, because
I got a punishment.
Oh, go ahead.
Just to put a cap on this, Leslie, I think you said it best. Anyone who's fighting this battle, do a cancer walk. Donate to a fucking charity, for God's sakes. Do something that isn't this lame culture war bullshit.
Yeah, donate your time, donate your money. Fucking do something. Make someone's lives better.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you're giving us content, but we're the only ones benefiting from it. Are we really? I guess we're having some fun here. Let's see what else we want to get to. I want to read you guys a passage here.
Okay.
The phrase, "it's just a game," is a weak mindset. You are okay with what happened, losing, imperfection of a craft. When you stop getting angry after losing, you've lost twice. There's always something to learn and always room for improvement. Never settle. Now, Grant, if you didn't already see the doc here in front of you, who would you think had said something like that? Something so inspiring. Was that Michael Jordan or was that
Adolf Hitler?
Adolf Hitler. You're pretty close. It was Ninja.
Look, I've seen people dunking on this all day, but I have to ask you, how many Fortnite championship trophies are sitting behind you right now? Because I know Ninja's got a few.
Yeah, I'm looking at 0.
Yeah. So, you know, you can talk smack as much as you want, but I think you made the point pretty clearly. Like, every single top flight, you know, athlete says dumb shit like this 24/7. This is the only thing allowed in their brains if they want to be the best at whatever they've chosen. And Ninja has chosen to be the best at a truly awful video game. So, of course, his brain, he has to think like this. I don't want to convict him for this. This is what he's supposed to think. This is what he's supposed to be like. We are so lucky Michael Jordan didn't have fucking Twitter while he was doing his run. God. Or Tom Brady, for example. Like, I'm so shocked that it took a real long time for Tom Brady to get on social media, and he actually kind of posts funny stuff. But if he actually ever posted what he was really thinking, we would, you know, really start questioning like why we watch sports at all.
Oh yeah, definitely. It reminds me of who was the quarterback from the Super Bowl like a number of years ago for the Titans? I think the Titans, right? The God, I'm drawing a complete blank. This was like 4 years ago when it was like the Titans and the Broncos. And who's the guy with the big head? God, I can't remember anybody's name.
Guy with the big head.
They're brothers.
Yeah, he's got that big head.
Yeah, they're brothers. One had the Papa John's
the Titans.
franchises.
I don't think the Titans can play the Broncos in the Super Bowl. They're both AFC.
Who am I? No, the Panthers. Who was the quarterback for the Panthers?
Big head.
No, the big head guy was the Denver Broncos. Cam Newton. And who's the guy with the Papa John's pizza? Who am I thinking of? One of the two brothers. The other brother plays for the Colts.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Peyton Manning. And Cam Newton, like 5 minutes after losing the Super Bowl, they did the interview with him, and they're like, how do you feel? And he like was wearing a hood and he like walked off stage, and everyone was like, how inappropriate. And then they showed like all the times that fuck, I just forgot his name. Peyton Manning. Jesus Christ. That every time that Peyton Manning like threw a helmet or like cussed someone out or some shit like that. And it's just like, yeah, no, everybody does this. It's like they're professional sports players. Of course they're going to be pissed off when they lose. Like, who cares? That took a long time to get out very little
No, but
information.
that's a
I'm
good.
sorry,
That's a
but
good
yeah.
thing to remember. I actually had forgotten about that because that happens with black players all the time. Anytime they're crotchety or angry, like and like there was a perfect video. I remember that video where every time a white quarterback was like throwing a hissy fit or being mad, that the commentators would be like, oh, he's just so passionate for this game.
He's just passionate. He just loves the game that much.
But when a black player does this, like class counts, class matters. I don't know why he would ever behave like that or act like that. That's just completely inappropriate and crosses the line. It's so funny how like Sports Brain is like this whole amazing thing. If you take like a few years as I did, like never watching like any sports media or content, and then you go back and watch it. Jesus Christ, the way people don't like the way ESPN talks about the most minuscule, stupid things as like the most important things that could ever possibly happen in the world. It's just mind blowing. And if you get into sports, you forget how much energy and passion is put into, the dumbest thing, like who went to practice today or whatever the fuck.
No, see, Ninja is the terminal case of not only sports brain, but gamer brain.
Yeah, yes, both.
Even worse.
Yeah. So to bring it back, to find a punishment for him, I don't know.
Take his games away.
Go
to your room, young man.
Yeah. Class matters,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of this Ninja guy. I think he's a douchebag, but like Leslie said, I probably think the same thing about most sports athletes too. Like, and we were dunking on him a couple episodes ago because he said the thing about like, I don't understand how kickers sometimes miss the ball. And it's like, Fortnite's difficult because you got to do this and you got to do this, and it's like, are you really comparing yourself to a professional athlete? And it's like, in a certain sense, like, yeah, he's a competitive human being that has to beat another person at like the same, on the same level within the same, whatever.
Yeah, I think we can be more charitable to Ninja than Ninja is to like kickers. He's just really dumb too and doesn't know anything about, like, obviously doesn't know anything about football if he doesn't understand that kicking a field goal is an extremely hard thing to do, even if you're good at it.
Yeah.
Graham, what do you want to get to here next? I know you had a couple.
I'll let Leslie decide if you want to. McDonald's candles, Caitlin Bennett riot at Kent State, or Richard Dawkins suggests eugenics for humans would work.
McDonald's candles? I hadn't heard that one.
So McDonald's released a bunch of candles today. Let me list off the scent of candle. They released a ketchup scented candle.
Hilarious, obviously.
A pickle scented candle.
Very funny.
A cheese scented candle. An onion scented candle.
Oh my.
And a beef scented candle.
You gotta get them all. You got your house smelling like a damn Big Mac.
That's awful. That's awful. Like, why not just, like, I could understand doing one candle that just smells like McDonald's, right? In fact, they don't even have the real scent that, like, makes you, kind of crave McDonald's, which is the French fries. I didn't hear French fries. That's the McDonald's smell. That's the McDonald's smell. They're French fries. That's what McDonald's smell like, the French fries and the preservatives. Like, I don't know why.
Grease.
Yeah, and the grease. There's no grease candle from what I understand, but there's a ketchup.
I just want the grease one, honestly.
the pickles, like who could possibly want that? But I think what it is part looking at it, like the fact that the more disturbing thing is the Quarter Pounder fan club, being a McDonald's fan club, because what we're discovering now is that, it's just a world of brands and content. There's no such thing as a restaurant. Yeah. There's no such thing as a movie. There's no such thing as a car. There's no such thing as, a sandwich. No, it's either you have brands and they put out content and they just put out everything. And now McDonald's, which I'm sure has, tons and tons of capital that they can be using to invade our day-to-day lives more more are just starting in on this. Well, we're not just gonna, be on every corner now. Now we're gonna start sending you boxes at your home with little calendars with Big Macs. Isn't that cute? And a little T-shirt and some scented candles and all this other shit. But I'm sure it's part of like a much more like nefarious way for the McDonald's to be an even larger part of our life that will be copied by other brands from now on, because this is just more content and product.
And in that same vein, like, I want to ask a question. What is up with 2020 and meme candles?
Yeah, I'm tired of them.
Already we're in, because Leslie, I don't know if you ever heard about the Gwyneth Paltrow candle.
The goop candle, the one that smells like vagina.
Yes. Then now
I heard about it, but I did not. I never clicked the link. To see what it was about.
I mean, that is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like now we have these other goofy candles. Like, what the hell is next? I hate to ask.
So well, I'll answer you. So the day before I saw this, there's a French's candle that smells like mustard. This came out like the day before the McDonald's one did that I saw. So yeah, jokey, haha, funny candles. It's very aggravating. I have to very angry.
I have to assume that just like, I don't know, some marketing team found someone who makes like weird whatever scented can you want in some foreign country for really cheap, and he's just going around to every business and be like, hey, we can make scented candles of just like anything. He could be at like a fucking a company that makes fucking industrial drills, right? And like, hey, we can make this burnt steel candle, and you can give it as a gift to your buyers or some shit like that. Like, I just assume like whenever you see these kind of trends pop up where everybody's coming out with the same thing, I just think of like the one guy who came up with a way to make like millions of dollars on it, and the fact that in like 15 years he's going to be running for president. Oh, how did this guy become a billionaire? Oh, he was the guy who, you remember in around like 2020 where everybody just started coming out with weird candles? Like, that was his idea, and so that's why he's a billionaire now.
Like, oh, okay, yeah, I hated those things.
I do like the idea of like a candle conspiracy that's just like all these different brands across all these different platforms, just like all of a sudden this trend pops up, and it's like they could all be sourced from like the same like one vendor. I also like the idea of like Kramer from Seinfeld just like accidentally ordering too many candles and trying to sell them to McDonald's. Like when he ordered, or was it Jerry that ordered like 100 boxes of chewing gum?
I don't recall.
Oh, well, whatever. You know what I mean. Same idea, just like, oh, oops, I bought too many candles. We got to sell these.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, at least they're not memetic war yet.
I think that this is all part of the meme wars.
This is part of a meme war.
Yeah. Oh.
Just an advanced level.
It all feeds into the same
Yeah.
source. I mean, within a certain respect, I think we might have talked about this on the show once or twice, but there was a point in time during the late 80s, early 90s, during the fall of the Soviet Union, where Coca-Cola, a brand, like had its own army and I believe its own nuclear warhead.
Really?
Yeah. You can look it up online. I probably got some part of the story wrong, but that did happen.
Yeah, you said nuclear.
Nuclear.
Anyway, the punishment for these stupid candles is gotta have candles smell like pee and poo. I don't know.
I have an idea.
You guys something better?
These big head, big wig guys that come up with this idea for a fun scented candle that smells like McDonald's. They have to work in a McDonald's and bring that fucking fry cook stench home with them.
It's like the
when you're making minimum wage working at McDonald's and you just smell like McDonald's all the rest of your life, and your just clothes and your skin smell like that. Now you have to fucking deal with that.
I used to work at Subway, and everybody's like, "You smell like Subway," and I'm like, "I do."
Oh, Subway is the worst smelling rest of the fast food.
Yeah, my jacket would smell like fucking
children.
No.
Like, it always smells like it's rotting a little bit. Like,
Italian herbs and cheese.
like a little bit of vomit in there for Subway.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why. Like Quiznos doesn't smell like that.
Something bad going on there, I tell you. And at that time and place, let's just say Jared was still the spokesman. Anyway, let's get on to Key to the City. Something nice, something positive we saw. Grant and I are scrambling to our phones because it's a lot easier to focus on the positives than the negatives. So
you flipped it.
Or on the negatives and the positives.
Yeah, there you go.
Part of the story is let's just figure this out.
Leslie, do you have a key to the city this week?
So something online that's good?
Yeah, something you looked at online that made you smile.
Ooh.
Or just anything in regular life. Anything.
Well, I can tell, I just came back from a Bernie Sanders event, and that was nice. It was, just a little thing to get people to sign up to knock on doors. But there was this one lady, like in her 70s, perhaps 80s, and she, got up to tell her story, and so she started saying, like, and she's an immigrant. I didn't know catch where she's from, but I think somewhere in Eastern Europe. And she was like, when in my country, we learned about capitalism in school so that we could understand it, but Americans learn about socialism just to hate it. They're just taught to hate it. They don't understand it. And all socialism is just people taking care of each other and working together. That's it. It just means that society says that they're going to take care of, every homeless person, every person who's hungry, and that's it, as opposed to capitalism, which is just everyone for themselves. And she got really emotional, telling this story. So that's that was nice, to see, like, because the people you always hear from are the people who are from ex-communist or socialist countries, and they're talking about how their grandparents used to own like every egg in their entire country, and then the communists came and they only owned like one egg farm or some shit like that, and had to flee to America instead of living like a working person. And we always hear that side of the story, but we don't get to hear the other side of the story. The people who actually liked when the communists took over and kicked all your rich asshole grandparents out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I know you said you were at an event earlier today, right?
Yes, yeah.
That was the one? Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, my key to the city, the new Animal Crossing looks kind of fun.
Great.
I don't know, man. Grant, what do you got?
So this week, my mom finally made the jump from a dumb phone to a smartphone.
Okay.
And now she has the same phone as me. And the guy at Best Buy was setting up her phone, and he's like, "Oh, you should use this. There's a button on the back of your phone, and it scans your fingerprint, and it unlocks your phone." And he's like, "You have this on your phone. Do you use it?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, you should use it. It's real simple, real easy." And then so now all I have to do is press this button right here, and it opens my phone. Do you see that? I didn't even press the on button. I just pressed this back fingerprint scanner. And look, unlocked.
And they have your fingerprint now.
I don't even have to. Yeah, well, whatever. What am I using it for?
You're going to kill someone.
I don't even have to put my code number in or anything. So my key to the city goes to the Google Pixel 3a.
Good job.
Wait, the Pixel
Google.
3a? So, see, I'm just looking because I just noticed for some reason my phone case has like a opening in the back for the M for the Moto logo. I wonder if that's also like one of these things.
Like a fingerprint scanner?
I don't know. I'll have to check it.
I don't know.
I'll have to check it out. But I probably won't use it because I do worry about the cops like arrest. I have a podcast called Struggle Session. I don't want the cops to be able to grab my hand and unlock my phone, technically. Thankfully.
I have a podcast called Thought Cops, and they'd probably be like, "Thank you for your service, sir."
Yes.
It can really go either way, I feel like.
One time I took the Thought Cop exam. I didn't pass. Got with it. Only failed by about 5 points, but one day.
Yeah, I failed the mechanical section.
Let's get to our Thought Cops word of the week: manicure. Grant, what the hell is that?
It's when a man gets a manicure. You know, the thing with these words is manicure. The word man is already in manicure. You don't have to memify it by making it a manicure. It's already called a manicure. It doesn't mean that it's inherently for women or for men. You don't have to make it either, because the base section of the word is already within the word. So you don't have to do anything to it.
We're just that insecure. You know, we got to go the extra mile.
That seems like something that somebody had to have come up with in 2003. Like, I feel like there's probably already the full cycle of somebody invents this term, people start in like one neighborhood in New York or start doing it as a fad. It gets written up in the Brooklyn Vegan or whatever the fuck, and then there's a backlash, and then people start examining, you know, manicure is actually, you know, a sign of, you know, homophobia. We would call it toxic masculinity now, and then people would stop using it and forget it ever happened, because at most there were like 20 people involved in this, but 30,000 articles written about it. So I feel like that's a throwback to something like, you know, metrosexual or whatever. That's that era of neologism.
Yeah. Well, I saw it in a like a BuzzFeed article. In a BuzzFeed article that was along the lines of like, the manicure is in, and it was like a picture of Harry Styles with like painted nails. I was like, great.
Okay. Cool.
He's rich. He can paint his nails any color.
Carson Daly has been painting his nails for like 30 years and been on network TV every single day while doing it. It's not new.
Well, joke's on him, because I constantly forget who Carson Daly is.
Ha! So before we get to our final segment of the show, the voicemails, Leslie, tell us where all of our listeners can find your exciting content, social media, and all that good stuff.
You can find me on Twitter at Leslie Lee III, and you can listen to Struggle Session at patreon.com/struggle session. We put out not one, but 2 bonus episodes in the week. We're giving you the best bang for your buck as far as Patreon podcasts go. Please check us out.
Cool.
Oh, I do have a fingerprint sensor on the back of my phone, so that's why there's that little hole.
Yeah, a lot of like phone cases have like that little circular thing, and it's like, well, what's the space for? And
I always thought it was just for the logo.
Yeah.
Well, mine doesn't have a logo. It's just a circle. And I knew that that's what it was, but I was just like, oh, I don't really want to use that. I'll just type in 4 numbers each time I want to go on my phone.
What are those 4 numbers?
I mean, it doesn't matter. I know that you're trying to make a joke, but even if I were to say it, it's not like anyone has my phone, you know?
I mean,
it's
I could get my hands on it pretty easy.
Still bad OPSEC for a thought cop.
Yeah. I'm not putting that info out there. You can have my data when you pry it from my cold dead hands.
Yeah, maybe one day I will, God willing.
The Thought Cop's promise.
Let's hit those voicemails. If you want to leave your own, give us a call, 312-788-7361, or you can always send us an audio file at thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com.
Hey, boys, it's your buddy Joe from Uptown. I was just calling. I don't even know why I'm even doing this voice. But I was calling because I need to express some extreme disdain that I'm feeling about people who feel like they should be replying to political canvassers' mass text. Like people from the Bloomberg campaign who just mass text people. I've been noticing this trend about people who think they're awesome and respond like, no, I will not be supporting Bloomberg or whomever, because they think that that's going to make a difference. Like, that they, like, had a got 'em moment with the robot who's sending these fucking texts. Like, first of all, fuck you for engaging in, like, these actual machines. And secondly, I feel like you have to have the personality equivalent of Jet's Pizza to be this kind of person to do this. You know, you have a vague semblance of an idea of what you think pieces should be, but you really are just cardboard and really kind of nasty and only exist in the suburbs. I don't know. I just really needed to get this off my chest. Thanks for being my therapist, boys. Fuck
Thank
you
you.
and fuck Jeff's Pizza.
Wow.
All right.
Those are a dear friend of the show, Joey from Jump and Shoot, a Mega Man podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why was he doing that voice?
I don't know.
Because he's from Uptown, I guess.
Yeah, Uptown Joey.
Anytime you say your name has, the place, the specific location in the town that you're in, you have to have an accent. Like, it's just the rules.
You can just make one up. But I have seen some of these. I know they're not all robots, though. Some of them are real people that are sending out text messages for these campaigns.
And you're hurting their feelings.
Well, oh, God. It's a Mr. Peanut thing all over again. No,
well, I would say, somebody had a good thread on this. Actually, if you want to hurt them, you should just waste their time and not say that you're not going to support the candidate, because then they just take you off the list. They get that all the time. You're not clever for saying that. No, actually say, you know what? I'm kind of curious about Mike. And then you can have, you can take, 10, 15 minutes out of their day when they could be texting someone who's actually winnable. Now, maybe this is a nice thing to do, but hey, all's fair in mimetic warfare.
Exactly.
Oh, God. That's going to have to go on a t-shirt, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. I feel like everything nowadays is just for the performative aspect of just look at this screenshot that I made. Great, cool, man.
Yeah, it's like when you get blocked by somebody and it's hey, check it out, who blocked me? I got blocked by Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, I hate that so much. You have to, if you didn't earn the block, the only reason I ever post a block is if it's an unfair block. If you say it or saying something, genuinely helpful, usually to somebody, who's on one, and you're trying to help them out or talk to them reasonably, then they block you. Then you can be like, hey, this person blocked me and all I said was this. Now, whenever somebody just says, oh, somebody blocked me, and they don't say why, you told that person to fuck themselves or fuck off, or they were stupid, and they blocked you, and that's fine. That takes no effort. It's okay. You just told them you hate them. It's okay for them to block you. The only blocks that count or mean anything is if you get a genuine own, being absolutely as polite as possible, and they can't argue with it. And it also has to be somebody who's actually trying to argue with you online, trying to go back. If somebody's trying to go back and forth with you and you win the argument and they block you, then that's one to put up on your wall. But if you just come at somebody and tell them to fuck off, that doesn't mean anything. I block people all the time if they're shitty to me. That's what anybody with more than 10 followers does. People because in part of mimetic warfare now, people see certain ways of making posts and ways of acting online, and they try to replicate that while actually understanding the meaning behind it. So they saw, these people, I'll argue this person from the Washington Post, and they blocked me, and I'll post a screenshot of that. Okay, that's one thing, but then you go along and just tell that same person from the Washington Post to eat shit, and they blocked you, and you post that. That's not the same thing. You didn't accomplish anything. You just told somebody to eat shit, and they blocked you. That's nothing to brag about.
And maybe they will. Maybe they will eat shit. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, if they don't block you, then it's well, maybe they're a masochist, and maybe they're jerking off right now at you saying mean things to them. So take that into consideration. If you don't get blocked and you're being mean to someone, reconsider your life choices. Maybe.
Yeah. All right, let's play the next one here.
All right, so our German listener, Joseph, sent us a voicemail. He prefaced it by saying that he made his own dating show segment for the show. So I'm very nervous, but we're going to play it anyway.
All right. So 2 weeks ago, I went to my friend's birthday party in Berlin. And Berlin is about 2.5 hours away by car. And at his birthday party, his girlfriend, who's from Africa, invited some of her friends, and there was this beautiful black girl from Houston. And, you know, we were talking shit about to each other, just in good fun, you know, how you do.
Right.
And, you know, I wasn't thinking about anything about it. So last weekend, I went there again to visit him because he's moving to Africa with his girlfriend. And he tells me, hey, Joseph, my girlfriend told me that this girl, she was saying she would go on a date with you. I was like, nah, come on.
Oh!
And he said, no, really, she wants to go on a date with you. I'm like, what? What is wrong with this girl? She's good looking, good humor. Something has to be wrong with her if she wants to go on a date with me. But
right,
yeah, nobody's perfect, you know. So my thinking is, since I would have to travel 2.5 hours. Goddamn, what is wrong with me?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be kind of a simp move? Just travel 5 hours total, just to potentially embarrass myself. I mean, it's kind of risky, isn't it? What do I do? Take care, guys. The show. That's why I leave these stupid fucking voicemails.
Wow, so you came to this show for advice.
Why would you do that
move? I've done longer, man. I don't think I'm a simp.
I think you are a simp.
Yeah, maybe I am. Who gives a shit? I don't know, man.
I think that's a good point. Who gives a shit?
Who
These are all
cares?
just stupid words that some fucking bigwig in a giant corporation came up to divide you upon yourself, you know?
Yeah, this guy's, he's overthinking it, you know? Also, isn't a simp like someone who is like basically a sugar daddy for somebody?
I thought it's someone who like responds to e-girls.
So that's a reply guy.
Well, it kind of there's an overlap.
This is an episode of like the worst episode of Seinfeld.
There's over. I think there's overlaps. I think a simp is a specific type of reply guy that's supposed to be really pathetic, but really it's just an accusation you throw at people who are agreeing with someone you don't like. Usually in practice, like anytime you disagree with a woman and a man comes and replies to agree with her, then you call him a simp. That's how it works functionally.
Okay. Yeah.
So Leslie, what do you think you should do? Do you have any advice here? Do you think you should just say fuck it, I'm going to stay home, I'm going to find someone who lives 2 houses away from me, or should he go for it?
Go for it. Why the fuck not? Like I'm sure you'll find a way to have a good time regardless. And hey, maybe this is the love of your life, and this will be a great story. Like, go for it. What else? If you have the time to call into a podcast to leave a voicemail, then you have the time to drive 5 hours to meet a beautiful girl.
And think of all the episodes of Thought Cops you can listen back to on the way there.
Yeah.
Let's play the next one here.
Hey, boners. I have a question. Fuck, marry, kill. Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, or C. Mayor Bloomberg. And I need you to be detailed. Explain your reasonings. Thank you.
Fuck, marry, kill. Warren, Buttigieg, and Bloomberg. Wow.
Jeez. God.
We all just sigh at the same time.
I don't want to do this.
I don't like any of these
Yeah.
people. Like, I certainly want to... Jeez. Wow. I guess I wouldn't kill Elizabeth Warren. But then it's hard to choose between who to allegedly, as a parody, kill in between the rat or the billionaire. It's really hard, like, because I mean
or the rat and the snake.
Yeah, the rat only has a few more. The billionaire only has a few more years to live, most likely, and I don't think he's going to win. So you don't necessarily have to take him out for the good of humanity. Mayor Pete is going to be a problem for a very long time. For the rest of our lives, he's going to be a fucking problem. for America and humanity. So you probably want to go ahead and take him out, marry Bloomberg for his money, and then the other thing with Elizabeth.
That sounds about right to me. I think that Mike needs his own emoji because we got Pete with the rat, Elizabeth with the snake, and
dollar
Mike,
sign,
or the guy with the monocle guy.
Yeah.
Something that's not too like just derivative. I'm thinking. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I like your logic with the Pete Buttigieg is going to be a thorn in our sides for the rest of our lives. I say marry Pete Buttigieg. Be one of those significant others that doesn't allow him to do anything. He's like, hey, honey, can I run for president? And I'm like, no, you have to stay home with me and the kids. And he's like, okay. So, break his spirit. So marry him. I think fuck Bloomberg because I don't think he'd enjoy it very much. And I guess I have to kill Elizabeth Warren.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's that.
Well, that settles that. Can't wait for 2020 to be over.
Kevin, did you have any insight in the rest of it, or is that any better?
Not really. Nothing interesting or funny, Dad.
Right. Well, this has been another episode of Thought Cops.
Leslie, thanks so much for calling into the show, man. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, everybody go ahead and check out Struggle Session. The episode's ending now. Just minimize this one. Give them a subscribe. Check out their show. If you want to support our show, again, you can do that at patreon.com/thoughtcops or leave your own voicemail. Hey, that's free. 312-788-7361 or send an audio file to thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com. See you on the other side next week.
Thanks for listening.